Welcome or welcome back. My name's Elena and this is Elena's Knits. So today we're going to have a knit and chat. And yeah, I hope that you're having a great day. And I've already made a mistake in my knitting. Let's just go back one stitch. That's fine. Yeah, all right. And now I'm back to fresh, no mistakes, at least that I can't deal with project. So first I'll talk about what I'm wearing. So this is the Rats. I've just totally blanked. Store Sand Top, that's what it's called. Store Sand Top by Sari Nordland. And I will link down below to my Ravelry project page. So I'm going to start doing that instead of repeating over and over again the details of the yarn. But this is one of my only summer sweaters, and so I do wear it a lot. I love it too. The colors are just gorgeous. And what I've been knitting on this week is exclusively, so I think it's called hyperfocus when you're knitting really just on one thing. It's something from my knitting bucket list. So on my knitting bucket list for this year are two items. Oops, hello foot. One was to do a test knit, and one was to steek a garment. So that's where you cut your knitting to create the opening for a button band or a cardigan just in general. It doesn't have to have buttons, or it could be for a neck opening or sleeves, so that you don't have to knit back and forth when doing color work mostly. So that is on my bucket list, but you can maybe tell that this is not something I would steek. I have been on the email list for Lotta H. Lothgren, who is a Swedish knitwear designer and yarn shop owner, Elk Market Yarns. I wonder if that is a bit of a tongue twister. Elk Market Yarns in somewhere in Sweden. I'll link them below too. And so, yeah, I've been on her email list for a while. She often designs for Lina, has a book out, at least one, maybe two, with them, with their publishing house. And yeah, also I think dyes or produces yarn. So I've gotten a few calls and I haven't knit any of them. It just wasn't the right time or the right project. But when I saw this call, it looked like something I would like to wear. I had yarn in my stash. I had applied for another test knit but hadn't heard back. So yeah, the timing was just right. I was ready and I had the yarn. So this will be the Selkie top, and it's not a secret test knit, so I'll put in a picture. Lotta had published another Selkie pattern. I think it's a Selkie sweater, which has short sleeves, I believe. And the pattern calls for a DK weight yarn that's available through her shop called Sag and Fay or Sag and Fay. And it's a wool blend yarn. It looks very luxurious. I will put on the bottom of the screen the details of the composition. But it being summer, and this being a sleeveless top, I remembered I had my Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in my stash that I had ripped out from the Frere top from, I think it's Inga from Knitting Traditions. And yeah, I had a few, I think I've talked about it in my summer patterns video, favorite summer patterns video. I had a few ideas for what to knit with this. Maybe the Roman holiday one, maybe, I think it's called the Gru top from, Fiber. Rats. I will put the name of the pattern. It's coming out soon. It looked kind of perfect also. But then this came up. I got accepted into the test. Hooray. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying this test knit. So I'll talk about the pattern first, and then I'll talk about the test knitting experience. So this is a top-down sleeveless top. Yeah, the yarn I'm using is pure silk from knitting for Olive, and it's 2 strands. So I'm knitting with 2 balls at once, and they do get twisted around each other pretty quickly. So I don't know if you can see, I have one beside me on my left and then one ball on the ground on my right side to hopefully dissuade them from twisting and tangling. And then every once in a while I just kind of I wrap one around the other in the opposite direction from the way they're getting tangled, and then I'm good for another little while. So let me just get this into a safe position. So like most tops like this that are knit top down, you start at the back on one shoulder and you increase for the neck opening. Then you do the other side, and then you cast on stitches for the back, and then you kind of repeat that process for the front, but with a deeper neckline. But there's something in this top that I'm doing for the first time, and I think Lotta, the designer, did for the first time, and that is bust darts. And I don't think you'll be able to see them in any way, but if you compare the length at this moment of the front and the back, the front is longer because you do short rows for bust darts on the front so that it conforms to the shape of your body. And there's different options for different cup sizes and for different pattern sizes. And I mean, I think this is why isn't this more common? I think if there's a sweater, that's really oversized, you don't need that, but I'm just so happy to be knitting this as something that will really be realistic for the body that I have. So yeah, I'm really happy about being part of this since it's Lotta's first time doing bust darts. Yeah, and in the message to testers, she said, this is not something that is really necessary for her body, but so that's why testers are really important. People with different shapes and sizes. Yeah. And I'm also really happy that I was able to give 2 points of feedback that have led to pattern updates. So yeah, things to make the pattern more clear. Mostly there weren't really mistakes. Actually, yeah, there was just one thing that wasn't, you could have kind of figured out what you needed to do, but for somebody who's more of a novice knitter, it would have been really confusing. So yeah, I'm really happy to be part of the process of making that more clear. Sorry, I'm mixing up the pattern and the testing process, but I think that's okay because they do kind of go together now that I think about it, because the pattern has changed. We're on version 4 now, so things have gotten clearer. So yeah, I'm really happy with this pattern. It will have, you'll see when I put up the picture, or when I have put up the picture, it has, a stockinette body, but then the ribbing at the bottom, around the neck edge and around the sleeve openings, or the arm openings, since there's no sleeves, has a kind of lace rib pattern that looks really pretty, but not too complicated. So yeah, right now I finished the bust darts, so I'll be knitting several more inches just of stockinette with no increases, decreases, etc. around the body. So it's kind of back to that mindless knitting. And so, yeah, so I'm kind of finding ways to just stay interested in it so that I don't put it down. Another reason why, so I've been knitting, yeah, hyper focus, quote unquote, on this, partly because it's a test and Lotta is really chill about meeting the deadlines. I think, yeah, I've knit the part that's probably the most complicated already and given feedback, so I don't feel pressure for Lotta, but I think, since it's on my bucket list, I'd like to, if I can, meet the deadline and do the full testing experience. Yeah, so that's one reason, but also knitting anything but cotton or silk or, summer weight yarn, summer fibers is all I can do right now. Even knitting socks, my hands are just getting sweaty. And it hasn't even been that hot, so I'm not sure what's up. Sorry, I apologize if having this lozenge makes it harder to hear what I'm saying. Yeah, so I'm loving this. One thing I want to say that's really positive about the test process is how there's different ways to engage. Firstly, I'm so happy that Lotta put the call out through her email because I really don't want to be on Instagram. Everybody does what's right for them, but I think, it's ironic saying it since I'm here on YouTube, but the less social media, the better for me. So I don't want to, I knew I wanted to do a test, and so I had kind of logged back into Instagram after, a year plus of not really being on it to see, oh, if Sari or one of the other designers that I follow had a call for tests out on their, usually it's on their Instagram stories or, a temporary link in their bio. But I'd rather not have to be on the lookout. So yeah, having it come to my email inbox was much better for me. And but so the way you can submit revisions to Lotta is also by email, and she encourages sending them directly to her and not to the list of all testers so that other people aren't overwhelmed. But for people who want to, there is an Instagram message thread so that you can, do a first check-in with the other testers to say, does this seem clear to you? What did you do when it said this? And one time I put something in there and then everybody agreed, and so we submitted it to Lotta. Another time I put something in there and then I realized, oh no, it was my mistake. I just misread something. So that was really helpful. So yeah, even though I don't want to be on Instagram, I have gone back into it for this test for that group, but I can just kind of log in, check that, and log out without having to scroll. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And it sounds like Lotta's, I think she said, Instagram really stresses her out, and I can relate. So I really appreciate that. But I also like being part of that message thread because, you know, being part of the knitting community means a lot to me. It's kind of why I'm doing this channel in the first place. So, yeah, figuring it all out. Yeah, so really happy with this. And I've made a lot of progress in the past week. I think last week I didn't show my knitting progress because I was showing the knitting event that I was at. But yeah, so in like a week and a half or a week and a couple of days, I've done all of this. So I finished the bust darts and a couple of inches under that. So yeah, I've made a lot of progress. So that's what I've been knitting. I won't show other things because I really haven't made any progress, even on my socks, which is surprising because I always have them with me. But I don't know, one of those weeks. So, what else have I been thinking about this week while I've been knitting or while I've been doing other things that relates to knitting or crafting if you're not a knitter? There was an episode on one of my favorite channels that really had me thinking. So, my two, I would say at the moment, I don't think I could say they're just my two, but I really like channels with people who are middle aged because I am. And, you know, I also follow a lot of younger knitters or older knitters. And yeah, I also love the older people who are older than me to learn from them. And the younger folk are really inspiring. Yeah, an example of somebody who's younger than me who I really admire as a maker is Soph Knits Daily, so Sophie, and then We Knit Daily, the sister channel, where they are traveling around mostly Europe in a camper van, and I just love the way they talk to each other. I love the way they think about crafting, and the scenery also is fantastic. I've been watching some older videos of them going around Norway. Anyways, that's a big aside. So yes, but in terms of people who are around my age, I like it is Sarah, who's in the Netherlands, and then a really new channel. But if you're a knitter who watches YouTube channels, you're probably already watching her. It's Sandra Karls, who's based in Iceland. And her videos are amazing. They're just beautifully filmed. The format is so cool. She always has, some thoughts, deep thoughts at the beginning. And then she has a standard intro passage where she talks about how she's slowly and mindfully making a handmade wardrobe. And then she talks about what she's knitting on or different crafty adventures. But this week was her follow up to the Icelandic Knitting Festival. And she had a video beforehand, a couple of weeks ago, about, planning for it and setting herself up for, a mindful knitting event. And I thought that was really cool because I had a video on the same topic, and I just think it's an honor to be thinking the same thoughts as her, since she's a really, thoughtful, deep person. But yeah, I guess she'd put a lot of pressure on herself to film while she was there and share her experience. And then, I think, many of us who've been to crafting events got completely overwhelmed, didn't film, and, had to spend more energy than expected just staying present, which is a great use of her energy. But yeah, it just really got me thinking because ever since her first video, I thought, wow, she's really got it together. And she does. She has, beautiful, she has experience with photography and it shows. She has experience, I think it's something like sociology. And yeah, so the way she talks about her craft and how it fits into her life is just, I feel like, it opens up new spaces in my brain every time I hear her. But then to hear her struggle with, you know, perfectionism and, this whole space of YouTube, folks that you think are an example to follow, that, they're having the same thoughts and feelings and struggles. It should be obvious, but it's not. And so, I am sad to hear anybody struggling with perfectionism because it's so frustrating. And I think I've probably said before, every time I do something new, I kind of have to relearn how to deal with perfectionism. So yeah, it's at the same, like at once I feel sad or empathy, but also comfort, that I'm not alone in struggling with this. And even folks that I see as, hashtag goals are feeling the same thing. Anyways, yeah, that's one of the things I've been thinking about. Yeah. And in the same video, Sandra was talking about buying things at yarn festivals and, not wanting to promote consumerism. So yeah, that's something I've thought about too. I've talked about, having too much, according to me, stash, making me feel uncomfortable. And yeah, so it's good that there's people who are simpatico. Another thing I have been thinking about it relates to travel and knitting, and is part of the reason why I was watching some older videos from Soph Knits Daily. I'll be going to Norway later this year to visit with friends. And so I've been looking at videos where people go yarn shopping in Oslo and around Bergen to see what their adventures are like, what routes they took. And there's that I know of, 3 yarn factories around Bergen that are, it's not, I don't think it would be realistic to go to all 3. Might not even be realistic to go to 2. And they're, what are they? They are Sandnes Garn. The second one is Rauma. And the third one, why am I going to blank on this one? Hillesvåg. And so they're all around Bergen, but in slightly different directions. And I think the terrain is, I think I wouldn't have the time or the patience of my traveling companions. I'm not sure actually who it will be yet. But if it was me on my own, I would try to go to all 3. Even though I really don't need to, but just for the experience, hopefully not to buy too much, but just to learn a bit more about the fiber industry in Norway, so I can compare it to the resources we have here in Canada for that kind of production. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. I have been preparing myself in advance for coaching myself to that I don't need too much. And yeah, just not to have more than I could use definitely a year in advance, because I know myself, and that if I have something in stash for more than a year, it just doesn't feel exciting. But it's a hugely exciting idea to travel in the first place, to go to Norway in particular. And really to see the friends that I have there. So one of them is Karen Marie, who has her channel Made by Karen Marie, and I'll link her below. Although if you're here, you're probably already watching her. She's just absolutely wonderful as a crafter, as a YouTuber, and as a person. So yeah, to have some crafty adventures together would be a dream. Yeah, I'm just hugely excited about that. All right, so that's what I've been thinking about mostly this week. Today, here is Father's Day, so shortly we'll be going out to do some bowling and some shopping and maybe have a meal out. So I will leave it there for today. And I'm going to make myself say something that is a little uncomfortable for me, but I hope that if you've enjoyed this video, thanks so much for staying with me. My mom was talking about how when she watched my last video, there were lots of ads. So yeah, I guess the longer they are, the more ad breaks they are. So I don't know. I'm just gonna talk for as long as I have stuff to say. Personally, I pay for, I think, what is it, YouTube Premium Lite. So it's something like $10 Canadian per month. So I don't have videos, and then you can, have it in the corner of your screen while you're doing something else if you need to. So if that's something that bothers you, again, definitely not an ad. I don't really have any plans to ever have ads on my channel. I mean, it would be a million miles away from where I'm at now, but I think if there was somebody wanted to give me yarn that I would love, maybe I would say yes. But yeah, I would never have ads for anything that doesn't fit directly with what I'm doing. And maybe I would never do ads anyways. And if I did, I would probably use the money for just for the channel or for charity or something like that. Yes. So, yes. Why did I say that in the first place? It was so that I would pump myself up to say, please consider liking this video if you've stayed until now. And if you subscribe, that would be great. So you'll see if I have a new video. I don't really do this, but I guess you could put on notifications. I'm kind of a no notifications person because I like to have as quiet a relationship as possible with my phone and electronics. So no pressure to add notifications. Anyways, I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. I'll see you next weekend. I'm not sure yet what I'll be talking about. Maybe it'll be another knit and chat, or maybe I'll have some adventures. No pressure on myself, but I hope that I have gotten to the part of this garment where I'm doing the lace trim at the bottom, if not further. But yeah, I know it'll be slow going while I'm doing the straight knitting. Yeah, so that's it for now. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.